I'm Amber Ambrose, a tarot practitioner in Houston, Texas, and this is the video version of my former advice column called Taking Up Space, and you can catch it on the blog. I'll link that somewhere, wherever this is playing. But my first question that I received to help give some advice on is, how do I deal with anxiety when I'm feeling lonely? And I'm gonna just address that at the moment. Like, first of all, loneliness comes from usually when we aren't even conscious of it, that we have put up a wall in some way between us and others. Maybe it's almost always protective, because we're protecting our sense of vulnerability and not wanting to be hurt. So it's like a fear-based place. And also it can be after a breakup and you're feeling lonely because you're used to having the presence of that other person. So it could just be like a period of grieving. There's obviously so many different ways that loneliness can show up. And so I don't know why that feels important to talk about, but it sure does. So I'm just going to bring that out first. But the cards that I got were movements, choices, and decisions. Two of Pentacles in traditional tarot. So that helps me inform my reading. That's why I kind of give those to you guys. And then I have 16, which is disruption, which is the Tower in tarot. And then I have 6 of Swords, 6, and this is moving on. And so, and finally, I have like a bonus card, and that is the Companion, which I find very interesting because we're talking about loneliness. And so, how's that going to play in? I don't really know. Let's go for it. So I think the first thing is, to the movement, choices, and decisions, is really about being able to get something out of your head. So like anxiety, it's all in your head. Loneliness, it's all in your head, and also a little bit in your heart because it's more emotional. And so when you have something physical, like if you've written something down or you send a text message, or you even make like a pros and cons list, I think, putting it in physical form and being able to weigh your options and narrow it down can help you reduce the sense of anxiety of talking to a friend, talking to a counselor, being able to talk about the things that in your life are going okay, and then the parts that aren't, and like just having an outlet for that physically, because Pentacles and Tarot are about like physical material world. And a lot of times, these thoughts, these intrusive thoughts that show up as anxiety or even loneliness, and which of course triggers the sadness and the negative emotions, when they don't have an outlet and we don't do anything about it, or we don't have a way to express it in physical form, whether it's our physical voice, writing it with a pen, putting it in a text message, hell, dancing it out, I don't know, just having an outlet and being able to weigh things, you just see them more clearly, and you're able to look at them in the way of, oh, I have a choice. I get to choose how I feel. I get to choose how I am reacting to this moment. And so I really think putting it in some kind of a form so that you can weigh your options and remember that you have options is very important, because I think anxiety puts us in this loop of thinking of like, I don't have any options. This is the way it's going to happen. And so you're setting yourself up for failure from the beginning, or at least your ego is, right? And then we have this big one, just disruption. This is probably the most important card. It's in the major arcana, so I kind of weigh it a little more heavily. And this is the Tower. It's sort of like taking this moment of loneliness and anxiety, and saying, how can I use this to disrupt the pattern of my life? How is this clearing a major illusion that I had about my life, a major part of the story I had written for myself in my life that maybe just wasn't right for me, and I didn't know it at the time, and I had to learn from it. And it's about letting it all actually just kind of crumble. Maybe you need to be lonely. Maybe you need to feel the anxiety. Maybe you need to be in this state so that you can figure out how to break through some ivory tower in your life that really was not serving you on a soul level, that maybe is making your ego feel comfortable and keeping you small even. And so I think this card is just kind of like, let it rip, man. You're feeling anxious, you're feeling lonely. Welcome to the human experience. It's not to say that we want you to stay there. It's just to say that, like, there's maybe bringing some stuff to the surface, that this, whatever's making you feel lonely and whatever's making you feel anxious, or whatever you've lost is more likely, what expectations weren't met through whatever this experience is. It's almost like full on, straight up acceptance. Okay, it happened. Okay, I'm lonely. Okay, I'm anxious. Just like a disruption of the judgment of how you feel about being lonely and anxious, and just saying, okay, this is where I'm at. And almost like that in and of itself is a disruption to those intrusive thoughts that are kind of keeping you in this pattern. All right, finally, guess what? After we get that acceptance, after we're like, my life is not going to be the same. That's okay. It's not going to be what I expected. That's okay. This is what I've got to work with now. I cannot control everything that happens outside of me. But I can start to learn how to guide or direct the way that I feel internally. I believe that's what this moving on is for. This is Six of Swords in traditional tarot. Again, it's really about moving from a place of like mental instability, of like this choppy water, into smoother waters. When you get your mind right, when you start kind of training yourself to look for thoughts that are not true, that are keeping you feeling lonely, that are triggering up negative emotions, that are kind of keeping you in a place of anxiety, this is when we make a decision. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it. I don't have to know. I just know that my intention is to find more peace mentally, find more peace emotionally. And then, even just setting that intention for ourselves kind of starts steering us in that direction without us having to do anything. But according to this spread, maybe we've already made a decision because we've finally taken it out and put it into some sort of physical channel and weighing these options and reminding ourselves we have a choice on how we feel. We have a choice on how we approach this. We can just say, F it. Okay, this is my life right now. So that we can begin to move in a different direction. One that we prefer, one that feels better, one that feels calmer mentally, one where we feel more connected to each other. And that, I think, brings me to the companion. One where we can feel more connected. And I feel like this disruption card, by the way, again, I said it's important. I really, really believe that, is about breaking down some kind of wall between the real you that could actually probably never be lonely. The ego is really just putting up this barrier. And this is like the ego kind of having its own death in a very disruptive kind of way, which opens you up for real companionship, for real connection, for an ability to be seen and see others. I think of the word companion, it's so powerful. It's not a lover. It's not like a companion is something or someone or presence that you feel very comforted by, in my opinion. Someone, or again, a presence that's just, there's not a lot of expectation. There's not a lot of like deep role playing in it, where you have all these things that you need this person to be for you. A companion really is just like there for you. And when you're a companion, you're just there for them. And of course, we are our own companions. We couldn't possibly be lonely when we learn to like enjoy our own presence. So I think that's the number one thing. And that really takes away a lot of the anxiety, because you start to trust yourself. You start to understand like, hey, I like being with me. I'm a fun companion. I like my own presence. And you kind of get to know that. Again, because we have this big ego barrier that's been breached, and allows you to open up to like the realness of who you really are, how strong you really are, the ability of you to steer your mind in different directions when you feel these intrusive thought loops coming in, and being like, how am I going to stop this? I don't know. Right now, my only intention is that I want to move out of this, and I think sometimes that's enough. But I think learning to be your own companion opens a door for greater connection with others, to find new and more aligned companions so that you do not feel lonely, that you do have this social outlet. So just to recap really quick, don't forget, in this situation, it's really your emotions, it's really your thoughts. Once you realize that you have a choice, you have options, you don't have to feel this way, and you can transcend this anxiety and these thinking patterns. Step 1. Step 2, let it remove all the fake shit that your ego has created. Let it get to the heart of who you are. Let it get to that soft, squishy, perfect, lovable, innocent place within you. That's what's underneath. That's what's being disrupted right now. Finally, that allows you to move on in a different place, in a place of more authenticity, a place of more peace. It's a decision to move on from this place, which is really a state of being if we're thinking about it, no matter what your outside circumstances are. What happens here and here is really under your control. It really is. It takes practice. It doesn't come easily, but with intention it does. Finally, you're your best companion. Learn to like yourself. Learn to be around yourself. Learn to understand what it is that you like, how you like to spend your time, to cultivate your sense of self, to be present with your life so that you can be in a more present and loving and authentic place so that you have other companions and you can be a good companion to others. And I think that is how you deal with anxiety when you're feeling lonely. Thank you so much. You can go to amberambrose.com to book private readings or see what events are coming up if you're in the Houston area. And if you'd like to book me as a speaker or a private party or any of that fun stuff, again, you can do that on the website amberambrose.com. Thank you for visiting this video today, taking up space.